Yeah, welcome back to the Getting Grip podcast. It's been a while. There have been a few movements going on. Merlin's been away in Canada for a little bit, and I am now the other side of the world in Australia. So yeah, I've moved out here at least, hopefully for like a year, maybe longer. But I am still coaching tennis, so I do have some credibility at least. And Merlin is still also coaching tennis, despite his
I'm still coaching
protestations.
tennis.
Yeah, look at that! Look at that enthusiasm. You
No,
love it.
it's still good fun. I still got to love being on court most of the time. I think some people can probably empathise with this idea that sometimes you enjoy the playing a little bit more than you do the teaching, and sometimes it reverses. It all becomes a little bit, sort of back and forth. Speaking of that, actually, just had the camp from hell with the children from hell. So it's one of those things in tennis as well, where you're not always just teaching tennis. Part of the money that comes with it is teaching classes, which are less about teaching quality tennis, and you're dealing with behaviour instead. So
Yeah.
my hope is that you can avoid that out there.
Oh, I'll have to do summer camps coming up shortly. The summer is the other way around, obviously.
Summer camps. Oh,
summer camps at Christmas. Oh God, yeah, it'll be roasting here as well, but it'll be fine. I can deal with it. Yeah. Anyway, so we've been keeping tabs on what's going on in the main tennis world, the ATP events and all that sort of jazz. So what we've got the Paris Masters at the moment, and then we've had various tournaments around Europe, Basel being one of them. I can remember that one. And they're mainly indoors because obviously it's like winter time now. So has anything stood out to you from the last couple of tournaments? I know like the key match that I kind of watched was the Medvedev Shapovalov final. We're always trying to like hope that Dennis is going to string together some kind of consistency or whatever. But yeah, it's just frustrating with him. Like you can see how good he can play, and then in one tournament he'll get to the final, and then the next one he'll be out in the first round. So yeah, with such potential, it's just a bit frustrating. He was up against Medvedev. Medvedev's finding a bit more form, it seems. Just like constantly getting the ball back, just like hitting it against the wall, basically. I think Dennis just lost patience. I think as it went on, mentally he just got grind down. I think a little bit. I don't know what matches have you seen? Who stood out to you? Who's looking in kind of good form coming into this Paris Masters and into the kind of finals at the end of the year?
Yeah, I'll tell you what's bothering me is I think for the likes of Shapovalov, it's the mentality, and we've talked about this before. It's not quite there to the point that he could string together that consistency. Part of the issue is the expectation, and I'm sure he would probably agree with that. And I'm sure a lot of players would agree with that. I think a prime case here, in fact, the prime case here is Emma Raducanu. It's the idea that she's won one thing, or she looks really good in one tournament, etc., etc., and then people run away with the dream and run away with the thought, well, it can happen now. We've seen evidence of the fact it can happen, so therefore it should happen. Which is exactly the same as, well, that's how I feel when I play tennis. I hit one amazing shot, so I've seen I can do it, and now I feel like I should do it every single time, which is just not the case. Consistency in tennis is a really hard thing to achieve given how technical it is. And I can understand why the tennis community and the media probably gets behind this idea, because you've got loads of players in the past who have been so-so for a while, crowning in the top 20, 30 for a while, and then eventually they break through and they make this incredible run. Like Stan Wawrinka, he's been darting up and down throughout the rankings his entire career, and he has 3 Grand Slams to show for it. So, you can't fault the fact that, if you do see a player with potential, they do have that potential. It's totally likely that they could do it. But what's not likely is that they can keep it together for a consistent run. Andy Murray being a key example.
Yeah, I think, it's just because of the big four, isn't it, really? Or the big three, or what? Yeah, every time. Either one. Their consistency that they had was just so rare that I think
It
people kind
is,
of
yeah.
took it for granted almost. It's
And
not
now
normal.
people are looking for the same again. We're looking for the same again. We're thinking, oh, these two could be like a rivalry. These could be our Federer and Nadal. Okay, that makes me feel better because now I feel like I can root for these guys. And now I feel like I've got my comfortable top in the tennis thing. So, as a fan, like you want to find that again because we've had such a great 20 years or so with, Federer, Nadal, Djokovic, Murray as well. And it's just not realistic. And I think as fans, we need to try and get it out of our head that that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, I started getting like that with Alcaraz. I thought, yeah,
Yeah,
you kind of forget. I forget the age, and I'm like, yeah, like this guy now he's number one. He's just gonna he's gonna consistently get to semis and finals, and no
that's
problem with
it.
that at all. But
That's it. Unstoppable now.
yep,
He's going to get 20 or something Grand Slams and we'll be questioning whether he's the GOAT in, 10, 20 years.
yeah, it's just so difficult. Yeah, like we said, the big three or four just made it look so easy, but realistically, like there's so little between all these guys that any given day, like most of these top 20, 30 players can beat each other. If you're just slightly off it, then
Yeah.
most likely you're going to lose, especially when you're playing back-to-back tournaments for God knows how many weeks. Like it's so hard to just mentally be there as well every time that, yeah, if you're not
Yeah.
quite at it, you're going to get picked off, aren't you? So as Murray found out, like you said, who was it that he lost to?
As Murray found out, he lost to Gilles Simon in the Paris Masters. Sort of an opening round match. Murray was looking good, to be quite honest. Sort of first set, got it under his belt. It was a little bit back and forth, a bit touchy. He couldn't quite hold his serve on those points that mattered. To sort of close it out a little bit earlier. Um, but I don't think it's a Murray did bad scenario. I think it's a Gilles Simon. He's pretty much retiring after this tournament. This is his last hurrah, which it makes it all the more special for him. He's a Frenchman. He's in Paris. The crowd absolutely adore him. Obviously, they know about the retirement, so they're giving him more. A nice farewell, and sort of with an Andy Murray, match, you're like that. That's a great way to finish your career. One of those sorts of classics, and I think that just got into Simon's head, and I think it got into Murray's head as well. Murray doesn't like being too much of an underdog. He's not quite Djokovic, where he can turn a crowd around and pretend it's for him, even when it's against him. And yeah, like I say, Gilles Simon, he played incredible. So, yeah, like I say, Paris Masters, home crowd, they're a noisy bunch.
Careful. Oh, we just love the French as Englishmen, don't we? We'll say no more on that.
No issue with the French. No issue with the French. French crowds in tennis, however.
Brutal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. As a player, if I were a professional player, which, as we very well know, I'm far away from, um, I wouldn't be rejoicing at the idea of playing a tournament in France for that reason. If I'm up against a Frenchman, I know that's going to be a horrible experience as crowds go.
Mm. Yeah. And yeah. Speaking of, you mentioned Djokovic there. He's turned up. He's won that first match against Cressy. Is it going to be a
Indeed.
straightforward run for him, do you think, to the final? Or
It could very well be, and this is a funny thing with Djokovic. Like, I suppose at this point as well, like a lot of players are sort of, winding up the season, getting a little bit more tired. And then there are some that are still about trying to pick up as many points as they possibly can, keep that ranking alive for the start of next season. Um, but I don't think it's as easy as that because a certain other player has hit an incredible stretch of form in these last few weeks, last couple of months. And that's the other Canadian that we root for to do very well, and that's Auger Aliassime. He's pretty much won back, and yeah, he's just looking really solid. So, be exciting to see what he produces in this tournament.
yeah, and the other guy who seems to like find his kind of form from earlier in the year, I guess, is Medvedev. He obviously pushed aside. Well, he didn't push aside Dennis. He sort of just outlasted him, outfought him, like mentally, just sort of broke him down. Some of the shots on the stretch, like hit basically everything. Almost everything about Medvedev's game is like not what you would coach, but it works for him.
Yeah.
So it's just like limbs everywhere, hitting over the high part of the net down the line, and like making them quite often, more often than you would think. And yeah, just like the stretch on the guy is just ridiculous. But
But
yeah,
that's when you talk about limbs. You talk about limbs and having that sort of that loose arm for a forehand, and then the backhand as well. You can generate. They're incredible leaders. You can generate some great power, some great spin. Um, you wouldn't coach it necessarily, but I'm sure in the next sort of 10 years, people are going to start.
what just limbs everywhere coaching.
Honestly, some people that sort of game probably suits. And we're learning more and more, not just in teaching, but in sport as well, that, how one person does a certain movement or action isn't necessarily the best way for someone else. Um, and you never know what other factors come into play there when you teach someone, like injuries and all that sort of stuff, as to why you might give a person a certain technique.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. Normally, when you coach, you can. Well, these days you try and go a bit more to like what's suited to the person. Yeah, I don't know. It is quite a difficult one, isn't it? Really. Like
Take the
sometimes.
Tony Nadal method.
Yeah.
Is he winning? Is your player winning? Yes. Okay. Don't need to change it then.
Mm. Case closed.
Done. Yeah. Done. What's Nadal doing? Oh, that's weird. Is he winning? Oh, yeah. Okay.
True. It's produced one of the.
That is it.
Yeah, it's produced one of the. Well, one of the best forehands ever, and one of the most unique forehands ever, which
Yeah.
is one of the main reasons why he's won as many tournaments as he's won, especially on clay, because like he run around that forehand and basically you're screwed once he gets around that forehand.
1,000 more
Spin.
RPM than pretty much any other player's shot in terms of top spin. That's you don't do that by doing the same thing everyone else is doing. So you got to break ground somewhere.
There we go. That's it. That's
At
the
least
coaching
try.
advice. You just got to be really weird. Just come up with some really weird coaching techniques.
Hang on, no, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying? No, you
Adjust to your player.
Yeah, you adapt to whoever you've got, especially if they've been taught one way for quite a while as well, then it is quite difficult to kind of unravel that. So yeah.
A good teacher builds on the foundation that already exists. They don't knock the house down and start again.
How wonderfully poetic. There we go.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 7:40 a.m. in the morning here. I thought I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, speaking of Nadal, actually, I've seen that he is also entered into the Paris Masters. For some reason, I just thought he was going to like sack off the rest of the year because of the kid and all that sort of stuff. But
you'd think.
not with Rafa. He just loves it too much. As we've seen, he will just like destroy his body basically for tennis. So I guess it's not a surprise. How do you see his chances in this tournament? He's going to be a little bit rusty again, surely. And then going into the tour finals. I guess he's just trying to build up some match practice basically ahead of those end of season finals, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's just getting ready for something that's a little bit bigger, a bigger stage, that sort of thing. I think he's also testing his body. I think he's working out where he is, because I know he has been concerned about where he is in terms of the end of his career and stuff like that. I know he's younger than Federer is, but so he's had more injuries over the course of his career than Federer did. So retirement probably will come a little bit earlier. I mean, he can happily say, "I've beaten Federer's record," etc. So I don't know if these things play on each other's minds. I mean, they're good friends and stuff, but like if it was us two, for example, I'd bring it up in every conversation we ever have. It's just, sorry, how many more Grand Slams do I have than you? It's just something simple like that. So you never really know where he's at in terms of that. But testing the body, making sure things are still working, that you can keep up that physicality. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I don't expect him to win the Paris Masters, but deep runs always expected out of Nadal.
Yeah, I think he just doesn't want to be out of match practice for too long, especially at that age. I think he wants to kind of keep it ticking over a little bit because it probably becomes more difficult to just come back into it. I know like I said before, he's had months off and come back, but it only gets more difficult as you get older. So I think he just kind of he wants to keep it ticking over a little bit. Yeah.
You saw Federer at the Laver Cup.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you saw Federer at the Laver Cup. No match practice. He just didn't look like himself.
No, it's footwork and positioning and all that stuff, isn't it? Reactions, speed, yeah, all those kind of things. But yeah, like you said, they don't mention these things like their wins and stuff in interviews. But I'm sure like when they're all with each other, they're all like ribbing into each other about various matches and stuff over the years. I would be anyway. Like you said, you wouldn't hear the end of it. So, but yeah, in public, they're all very respectful. Got to keep that brand image clean, haven't you? Keep the money rolling in. Not that they need it. But yeah, while the Paris Masters is going on, more important tournament is going on the women's side. It is their end of season finals, which catches me out because it's before the men's one. So I didn't realize it was going on so early. But again, Swiatek looks like she's smashing everyone. Again, I guess we're an indoor hard court, so
you said that like you were bored of it for a second.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Smashing everyone again.
I love it when it's just one person destroying everyone else. So much fun. Is anyone going to be able to stop her? Like, I guess on Shabur possibly, but again, she did lose to her in the US Open. Mentally, does she really believe when it comes down to like key points and stuff? Can she actually get over the winning line? And then I don't know who else there is. Maybe Bagula. She's the only one I can think of.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think, in my opinion, I think Garcia's playing well, and I think she's shown some good stuff. Like especially the match against Coco Gauff. She won that quite convincingly. But to be quite honest, like I would have thought on Jabeur, that would be a player that I would expect to give a little bit more fight. But you know, she couldn't quite overcome Sabalenka. It was quite a tough fought affair, but she couldn't quite find the goods. If you can't find the goods against Sabalenka, I'm not certain that she can really come up with that match entirety consistency that you need to beat someone that's in the form of Swiatek. So yeah, I honestly think it could be quite clear cut as to who takes the tour finals for the women. It's funny. I'd like to be able to say more, but on this occasion, I don't really know if there is a huge amount more insight to have. It's Swiatek's just so adaptable, and I think that's what makes her so capable of winning. And a lot of players can learn from that. Talk about adaptable. You know, take players that get older. You know, like Nadal and Federer did towards the end of their careers, sort of thing. And Nadal's still doing now. You adapt your style of play based on not only the person you're playing against, but also what your body requires. And there's all these different things that, you know, some players I don't think quite go through the process of adopting.
Yeah, I'd like to see. Well, I haven't seen her recent matches. I don't know whether she's changed anything, but I like to see Ons just be more aggressive consistently because I think the only way she's going to be able to beat Swiatek is through having played that aggressive style like for a while and kind of like got that consistency. Because when you come up against Swiatek, she's just like she's straight on the front foot. You give her like a short, like even a little bit of a short ball, she's straight on it and she's like pushing you around. And then if you're not playing like that in your other matches and you come up against her, like you might be able to keep it up for a set, possibly playing like that. But over the course of a best of 3 sets, it's so difficult. Like, yeah, you've got to be playing like that consistently beforehand to give yourself a chance. Otherwise, yeah, you're not gonna be able to keep up with her, I think. Which is, I know Ons has got she's got a good feel and that sort of thing. Like she can bring in drop shots, but I just always feel like she could dictate points a lot more than she does. Yeah, and again, Coco Gauff's another one as well. Like I know she's still really young, isn't she? So just because she's been around for ages, but she's one I would like to see trying to push Swiatek. We need a couple other players who are going to be able to like at least give her a good run for her money and occasionally beat her in a final.
Are you talking sort of like trying to create some sort of top 4 or something, or are you a fan looking for something like that again? Okay. Yeah. We like to have camps, don't we? I suppose that's a sporting thing. You know, you like to have the team you're supporting, and one player. If there's just one player winning, everyone's like, well, I guess we all support the same player, do we? Which is not the way it should be, but you never know.
What, like Man City in the Premier League?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, look, they're winning. I'm going to support them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's boring after a while,
Ooh,
isn't it?
disgruntled football fans.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
support money.
God, don't start with that. Okay, yeah, we need someone, yeah, one or two other players to come to the fore a little bit. Like at least have, two players, even just two players that are like, when they come up against each other in the final, it's somewhat close. You don't kind of feel like you already know what the result's going to be. Otherwise, yeah, it's just people are not going to watch otherwise, are they? And that doesn't help the women's game.
But let's face it. Let's face it. For a while, we've been saying no one's quite being the winner. No one's being the top player in the women's tour. Now we have that, and then we're looking for something else now. It's never going to quite be ideal. We just have to try and enjoy it the way it is. So I credit to Swiatek for giving the tour that of having someone who is a consistent winner, which is really nice to see after having sort of some more inconsistent seas across the tour in terms of players. But yeah, no, you're right. It would be nice, but I'm still quite happy where we are, and hopefully having a superstar like that will only draw more fans to that side of the sport.
Yeah, and yeah, if I'm trying to draw parallels again with like the big three or four, Federer came through first, didn't he? Like we talked about before. Hopefully, it can inspire someone else to either someone who's already there or someone kind of just coming up to like push their game on more, like motivate other people. That's all you can kind of hope that will happen.
5 or 6 years before that second person came along in that scenario before Nadal was available, old enough. So yeah, it could be the same.
Yeah, here's hoping, but it looks like she's probably gonna run away with those tour finals. We say that, and then some other random player will probably win it after that.
What random out of the
top players,
in the finals?
They are
random
random. It's just Swiatek and the rest, isn't it? That's how it feels.
It kind of does feel. It does feel like that. Yes, you can't take away some of them have been fairly consistent. Like Jabeur is a consistent number two, but that seems to appear in even the matches rather than just the rankings.
Anyway, yeah, let's see how that week unfolds, and then obviously we'll look towards the men's tour finals probably in the next one. I think that's coming up pretty soon. Is that next week? Maybe next week or the week after. It's closing upon us. I know that for sure. And then there's obviously a break after that. But yeah, let us know your predictions for the winner of the women's tour finals. Anyone got an outsider there that they generally think can win it? And yeah, on the men's side, who you think is going to win the Paris Masters? Who's looking in good form? And if you've liked it, obviously give us a follow on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, like it, share it, and subscribe.
And let us know how much you've missed us.
No one cares, mate. No one cares about us.
It's been a week or two. Go on, someone say in the comments.
I'm still alive. I haven't been eaten by like a shark or attacked by a spider or anything. Not yet, anyway.
Good.
Yeah, still alive and kicking. But yeah, we'll see you in the next one.
We'll talk Aussie tennis.